So, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
I think we'll get straight into it, as they say. So first question I always ask is, what's the weather like there? Because it's a typical British thing to ask. What's the weather been like where you are today?
Uh,
Atrocious.
yeah,
Atrocious, been bad here as well. But
intermittent storms. It's like finally become sunny when for the rest of the evening we're in. So it's like great. That
that's
was
cool.
fantastic. Thank
I
you.
was with a friend who lives in LA, and he was we were talking about the differences between English and LA taxi conversations, and he was always really surprised by the conversation we have. And he was saying in LA we just get straight into chat without that sort
Yeah.
of weather thing. And I was like, yeah, because you have no fucking weather.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like,
say.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no weather for you to discuss. So that
No.
entire section of the conversation is
Yeah.
It's constantly
It's like
beautiful.
isn't the weather nice? And how long have you been on for? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always got to be done. It's just like a standard thing you do. But and okay, and then as a sort of a lead into further questions, would you like to give a bit of an introduction to who you guys are, what you're about, and what the journey's been so far, as it were?
Okay. We are the Wild Things. We're half of the Wild Things, I should say. We are a loud London rock band, and we've had the pretty much maddest 18 months of our collective lives, really. Starting out at the Royal Albert Hall and ending just getting off tour with Kiss. So it's been good.
Yeah, it looks like it's been fun from
Yes,
looking
it has.
online. So could you actually,
Yeah.
on that, as it's been the most recent thing, would you talk a bit about the Kiss tour? I'm sure you've got plenty of stories
Yeah,
from that.
man.
What was that like?
It was cool. It was very cool. So we had somehow booked the Kiss cruise last year of October last year. So it was going on over Halloween. When we got booked for it, we thought it was a joke because we were like, how do they know who we are? Because at the time, I think we just played the Royal Albert Hall, and that was basically, all we'd done. We'd obviously worked with Pete Townsend, but none of the material was really out yet.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, well, this is definitely a scam. And we believed that until we got on the boat. And then the only thing that we had kind of set out to do, obviously, aside from playing a bunch of shows on a cruise ship, which is mad in itself and really fun, we were like, right, well, we want to make friends with Kiss. That's what we want to do. And I mean, I still don't know how it happened, but they came to see our very last show of the whole cruise, which was at 1 a.m. After they'd played a show, they got out of makeup and they were sort of backstage watching us. And so we like cornered them afterwards because we were like, what did you think? As you do. And they were really receptive and they loved the music. And it turned out they'd been sort of watching and listening the whole time we were on the boat. And then they were like, do you want to come on tour with us when we come in 2023? And we were like, we do. That's what we would like to do. Kiss, nice. Thank you. And then we got Tommy Thayer's number, and I've been basically bullying him into conversation since that day, which is great. I mean, like, jokes aside, they are the nicest guys.
Yeah.
They're so humble. They give solid advice. They are absolute rock stars and legends.
Yeah.
And they have the most amazing skin you will ever see, all things considered.
Because of all the makeup that looked after the skin, haven't they, I suppose?
I was always taught more makeup means worse skin.
All right.
Maybe they are the ones to prove that theory.
I'm not the person to speak to about makeup because I'm not.
Well, no, that's Rob. That's
yeah, fair enough, absolutely. Yeah. But, so on that then, so from obviously talking about the two different Kiss tours you've done there, and you've obviously networked and chatted with those guys. Was there anything that, from a performance perspective, that those tours taught you, like from being out in front of people, like specifically, or that obviously there's two different tours. Were there differences there, and how have you sort of moved on and grown performance-wise?
There's a lot of ways to answer that question. So I'm gonna answer it with something very specific, which is we did the first leg of the Kiss tour, and we were looking at their theatrics and all that sort of thing, and we decided we wanted to add some like a layer of theatrics to what we were doing as well. And I ended up having a chat with Paul Stanley about it, and we were talking about the use of these theatrics and all these sort of things. And he said, well, what I love about you guys is you're not burdened by your theatrics. And he said, that's the number one secret of Kiss that nobody ever knows. We've got all these flames and we shoot over things. We do all these things. He went, but if you take them all away, I can still blow your face off with playing music and how I perform. And he said, the difference is the tip of your finger. He said, if you do that, you're not touching anybody. If you do that, and that touch goes right out into the audience, that's the difference between being a rock star and just playing some music.
Yeah.
So I think that story sort of like sums up, I think, what the Kiss experience is and what we learned from it in the easiest way possible.
Yeah.
Cool, brilliant. That actually, I really like that answer. That's cool.
It was cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is cool. So on
they're cool. They're cool guys, man.
It seems, especially from all the daft videos I've seen on the social media stuff. So what was it like playing on a boat then? Like, because that must have been really. You must have been able to feel like things moving when you were playing.
I mean,
essentially.
Yeah. So like
that last show.
But yeah, I was gonna say it was absolutely fine. I mean, you know, it's a cruise ship. It's big. You don't really feel it until the last day when there were like storms. Like they had to cancel all of the on deck shows because the wind was too much.
Yeah.
So that last show, after you've spent the whole day on the boat, I remember, God bless our keyboardist Josh, was so seasick. He was so ill, and he was like physically shaking, like playing these keys. But every time you sort of, if you do any jumps on stage, by the time you landed, you're like a foot over to the left.
Oh, okay, that's wow. Right.
Yeah, would launch you across.
It was good for the abs. It was good for the abs, but no, I mean, I loved it because it was just like being rocked to sleep. So for me, it was great. For everyone else, not so sure. It was a fun challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I suppose moving on from that as well, I think I watched an interview with you guys, and you were talking about Madison Square Garden and how cold it was.
Yeah.
So, were there any like because it's an ice rink, and I thought, oh yeah, I've never really thought of that. Of course, it's an ice rink, so everyone's going to be freezing.
Yeah.
Are there any other quirky things with like venues you've played that are like that, or is it just like you get to a point where you're like that these are all quite similar, or?
Not yet, because everything's been so mad. We did a tour in February with Dirty Honey, which was wonderful because it took us around some of the craziest places you've ever seen. And like one place we stopped, it was called Rübingen in Switzerland, and we were like, nobody surely lives here because it's the middle of nowhere,
literally.
And it was sort of like this odd, like broken up building that almost looked like a weird haunted house. Then when it got to like 8 o'clock and the lights went down, this place just exploded. And it's because everybody just doesn't live there. They just travel in there. And, and these pocketed venues, and people would cross borders to come into these places. But this place was also like sort of like a quasi weird museum. So we were in the middle, and then it was 3 floors straight up. So people were looking over the top like this. And then there was a restaurant behind, and then outside they had like a broken down van that had been turned into a pizza parlor, and then they were serving like mac and cheese out of a giant wheel of cheese. And like we put out a video today of Loaded Gun, and it's actually the performance from
the Weird Museum.
Yeah, you can't see so much, but you can see the levels, and you can see me sort of like turning around to look and talk to people. And every place was just this incredible surprise. Everything brought its own challenges and its own uniqueness.
I think that the big venues can look a little bit samey from backstage, but the general rule is they're always cold.
Oh, okay. That's
they're always freezing. Madison Square Garden absolutely takes top prize for that because ice rink.
It's an ice rink, yeah.
Everywhere else still freezing.
Why is that? Is that because you got like loads of fans on stage? Like, hey, loads of like blowing fans.
I mean, well, I don't know. When we watched all or like most of Kiss's stuff from kind of the side of stage, and even when they had the fireworks on, I was like, I'm still cold. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's just because they're big. I don't know, but general rule of thumb: wrap up.
So which ones do you prefer then? Do you prefer the smaller, sort of more intimate venues, or do you prefer the big, there's loads of people there type things?
Oh gosh, I think that's a difficult question because you can still have, and I'm not saying that we necessarily have from an audience perspective, but you can still have what you consider to be a bad show at like the smallest venue versus the biggest venue, just from an emotional standpoint, you know, if you don't feel good about it that night. But I think it can literally change on a day-to-day thing. I mean, the one thing with the smaller venues is that you get usually the day to kind of go out and explore around it Whereas with the bigger ones, you're kind of stuck inside for security reasons as much as anything else, and they're so big you don't want to lose a member of the band or crew.
Yeah, there's a lot of just hanging out and waiting.
Yeah.
In shows.
Yeah, there is not a lot to do at those big places, but you know, once you get out there and the excitement of it, and catering, that's always great. I don't know if there's one that I prefer by any stretch. I think it's all, especially at this stage, it's all just such a blessing to be doing it.
Yeah, fair
and
enough.
to be wanted to do it, you know, to sound really, I don't know, wanky, excuse my French, but that is the way I feel at the minute. So I mean, you know, come back next week, could feel completely different.
Yeah, totally. So on the you mentioned the recording, the live performances stuff. So in terms of like a crew you take on tour, I mean, you talked about playing with Kiss. Do you like just have the four of you with a support, or do you like tag on with the?
We've got our own little family
Right.
of like crew members. It's like this, the thing about our band is the people that we work with, they have to be like family to us, because you know, you're an enclosed space for a lot of time with the same people, and you need to be in a good mental environment, because otherwise you're going to burn out very, very, very quickly. And the four of us are obviously incredibly close, but then our little sort of chosen family, aside from being as talented as they are at what they do, they're exceptionally close to us. I mean, our guitar tech, she's been my best friend since I was 12.
Right.
We grew up with, she was the first person I joined a band with way back in the day, you know, and now she's on tour with us all the time. And I think it really pays to have those people by. We got really lucky. I think we've been doing it kind of long enough to get to pick and choose our people, and to sort of grow up with these people, and to know a lot of them so well that we know if we're stuck in a tour bus with you for a month, it's going to be okay. So yeah, not
gonna want to kill him at the end of it. Like...
No, but I mean, you look at the Who's crew, and you look at Kiss's crew. These people have been touring with them for like 30 years.
Yeah. And
you know, that's when they're good people, and that's what we want to achieve ultimately. Because, you know, touch wood, we're still hopefully doing this in 30 years and you know, achieving our dreams and all that. But that's what we sort of immediately set out to do with our little ragamuffin group.
No, that makes sense. So now on to the question you've probably been asked a lot. So what's your favorite song to play live? I'm sure
nobody ever asked us that.
No one's asked you that. No. Get in.
If I say Heaven Knows.
Yeah.
Our ABBA cover.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Because that's just fun.
Yeah.
And we've got this one that it's not out yet, so you have to come to a show. I'm
coming to two. So
there you go. So you'll hear it. It's called Make Our Own Way There.
Right.
That's my personal, like, emotional favorite one to play. It's just a beautiful song.
Yeah.
What about you?
So it's the song we've literally played the most and the longest, Loaded Gun.
Oh, okay.
And it's because we at this stage, and this is always going to change, but at this stage, I remember we were on tour with a band a while ago, and they were saying how it takes them a couple of tracks to warm into the gig, you know, to sort of find your footing around the situation. But the wonder, like the beauty of Loaded Gun is it immediately gets the audience on your side, and it's so like muscle memory.
Yeah.
It loads me directly into the show without having to like overthink or stress anything. And what you're really trying to aim for, or I am creatively on when you're playing live, is you're trying to access that bit where you don't have to think about anything.
Yeah.
So to have a track that does that from the start, where I can just sit into that place and then engage with my band and then see what the crowd's doing, get a feel for the space I'm moving around in. Because you don't, you know, sometimes we've been on one of the shows with Kiss, we didn't get a sound check. So the first time we made any sort of noise was the minute we stepped on foot to like play.
Yeah.
So having that song, even though we've played it 70 million times, having that song to sort of like be the grounding, be the anchor is always really nice for me. I feel very lucky to have that.
That's a
Yeah.
good answer. His answer was better than mine.
I've of course I've played Loaded Gun, haven't I? So I agree. I like playing that.
Yeah,
So
baby.
yeah, good.
Yeah,
That is
you
a
have.
good fun one. That so probably the person that's played that the second amount of times ever.
Yeah, literally.
So many times to get it almost right. So so thanks for that answer. That's pretty good. From a writing perspective, then, because so is that how you approach songs? You start off with, right, this is going to be easy for me to play and access the sort of like subconscious place, or do you come from a sort of story perspective, or
No, we never think, oh, let's write a song that's going to be easy for us. That has never happened.
We should do that.
That's a good idea, yeah.
A good way to approach.
I'm voting that.
Yeah, tell Cam right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the writing process, I feel like anytime we've written anything, it always is different in terms of how it's approached. I don't think we've ever in fact, I can remember one time when we've actively sat down to write songs, and that was when it was just me, Rob, and Cam. Our drummer Pete wasn't even a part of the band. We are talking like years ago, and we were like, we should write an album's worth of songs. And there was no plan, there was no wild things at that stage. So it's difficult. I think that songs tend to come either organically or when we're under severe pressure to make one happen.
Pressure is the key.
There you go. So that's how songs are approached, and then we struggle with getting them together live later.
All right. So on that then, so you said the two approaches there. So like either really organically or really unorganically. Which ones do you reckon make the better songs, if at all? You never thought about that.
You always say that we tend to operate the best when there is an intensely high amount of stress.
Yeah, we just finished demoing a song that had a 4-day window.
Yeah.
Heaven Knows from start to finish was a 3-day demo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And both of those were out of necessity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drunk Again, though, which is a song we play at the end of our set, that was a completely different rhythm, style, and tone thing that me and Cam used to just jam to get into a headspace.
Oh yeah.
The one day he just and we'd been playing it for literally a year, and then he just turned around. He was like, "Oh, that random thing we did, I've completely changed it, and now it's a song." So it is by its nature so mercurial. I feel like the only job is to be present enough to know when something's happening,
right,
and being smart enough to get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
When
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
going.
No, I can get
Does that
that.
make sense?
Yeah. No, it does make
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. I mean, I can't say I'm a good writer, but yeah, no, it does make sense.
I'm sure you're a great writer, man. It's all relative.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was going to say
it's lyrics I struggle with. I think musically I can hear melodies, and I've like written little melodies for years. But yeah,
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
Melodies fine, lyrics. I'm like,
I said that's going to sound really daft with me saying it. Is what I look at. I'm like, what does that? Yeah. So I leave lyrics to someone else.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
I find personally, if this is of any use to you, I find the number one thing when writing lyrics, if I'm writing for SIDS and we share the lyric writing, is finish the song. Just finish it. It doesn't matter what shape it is. Just finish the lyrics. Then you can do whatever you want. But once you've finished it, then you've got something at least. Do you know what I mean? Even if you just keep one word and get rid of the rest, if you finish it, then otherwise you can get trapped in this quagmire of repetition. Where you just like second, third, fourth guess everything you do.
So like getting a black and white picture and coloring it in, basically, just color it in later. I guess that's probably the equivalent. Yeah. Okay. Lots of metaphors here, anyway. So anyway, unfortunately, we're getting close to time, which is a bit of a shame because I could talk to you all night. But
this is fun. You're actually asking questions that people don't ask. So
nice to know. Actually, I've been original. But the final question series would be: would you like to plug anything? As in, like, plug anything.
I thought you said, "Would you like to plug in a thing?" I was like, I. That's a different call, I think, isn't it? Yeah, it's like, what can we plug in? Would we like to plug anything?
Yeah, we do. We want to plug loads of stuff.
Yeah, there is so much stuff we want to plug. 1, come to our tour. 2, buy our merch. I'm wearing our merch. and I did tell you at the beginning, it's not because I'm just come on here to do an ego trip, but now it is.
No.
Buy our merch. Come to our tour in October. Go follow us on our socials because something very exciting and unexpected is coming out soon.
We've got a surprise coming in
Ooh,
9
exciting.
days.
Yeah, so
9
we have a
days.
bunch of surprises.
Yeah, we've got a surprise coming in 9 days. And then we've got a very big surprise coming in the middle of September.
Before our tour.
And then we've got the tour in October, which is our first ever headline tour. So it's absolutely terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'll be there for 2 shows, so at least. So you'll see me in Southampton and Birmingham.
Yeah. Fuck yes.
So, yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
you shouldn't swear.
I think that was really important to us on this tour as well, was making sure that the tickets were affordable.
Yeah.
Because we're a band that people be taking a risk on us, basically. So we sort of like fought tooth and nail to make sure that those tickets are £10 nationwide and then £12 in London, and that was really, really important to us, as a gesture and as a statement of how much we appreciate the fact that people are coming to see it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So please take a risk for £10, and
Yeah.
if you like it, buy a t-shirt as a support. Otherwise, just buy another round of drinks for your mates.
Yeah, and we'll always be there to hang out because
Absolutely.
it's our favorite thing. We love to hang out afterwards. So we might be sweaty, but we'll be friendly.
That's all right. You would definitely will be in the joiners. It's a good one, good venue actually. That's
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, and
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure.
We'll speak again soon, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, please. Let's do this again. This was cool. You have good questions. I'm excited to see the next round.